Okay, I want to start this video by thanking you all so much for how well the last video did in this series. I've always drawn dinosaurs and prehistoric animals, but I didn't really know if I wanted to show them off on YouTube. But with how well you all enjoyed the last video, I'm glad to say that this will be a continuing series on the channel. And I want to thank you all so much for pushing me to do more and better art. No matter how this series did, I was still going to draw dinosaurs, but now that I'm actually showing off my art, it actually pushes me to do better art, since it's not just art for myself to enjoy, but for others as well. So it pushes me to do better looking and more accurate art. So I want to thank you all for giving me that extra push that makes my art even better. Um, that sounded kind of whatever, but I don't think my art's that great if you've not seen my videos, but I think it's improving. So I thank you all for the push to make it a little better. Well, not a little better. I think it's making it a lot better actually. And I do also want to mention a few more things before we actually do get into the actual video. I want to mention that it's been a little bit since the last video. I think it's been a little over a week, and I would like that not to be consistent. I would like it to be at least a video a week, if not 2 videos a week or more. But with like school type stuff, I wasn't able to do that last week, so we're trying to step it up and get back to more close to at least a video a week. And one video that is a little overdue is the Safari Ltd. Chiansusaurus review. That video will be coming up pretty soon, hopefully. I've done most of the research for that video, so that video should be coming up relatively soon. And also, we finally hit the big 50 subscriber milestone, which is a huge milestone. I'm still trying to decide what I'm going to make the 50 subscriber special. So the 50 sub special will be coming out pretty soon. I'm stoked that we finally hit it, and it's been a crazy ride. In less than I think this channel's been up for right around half a year, and we've hit 50 subs already. Huge milestone, and I want to thank you all so much for getting me there, and hopefully we can get 50 more subs before the end of the year. That's maybe a little too high, but that would be awesome if we could somehow do that. But for the 50 subscriber special, I'm thinking I'm going to do a video re-showing off the collection, since it has changed a lot. We've added a lot of cool figures. I've also reorganized it a lot since that last collection showcase video. The collection's like completely reorganized, a lot of new figures in. Some figures have been moved, aren't on display anymore, so it's very different looking. So I think the video would be very different. And the other video I was highly considering for 50 subs was just my top 10 favorite dinosaurs. I think that's going to end up being a birthday special, so that'll actually also end up being this month, so it's not that far away. And one video I also did consider for 50 subs was like 10 dinosaurs that I wanted figures to be made of from companies like Safari Ltd. And Collecta, but I don't think I want to make that a 50 subscriber video, because I think I want to at least make one of those videos each year, so I decided I don't want to make that a subscriber goal video. But let's just get right into this video. I've already went on a little too much, I think. But yeah, getting into this actual video. So I started by getting like just those like big pieces of white printing paper, and I just cut them into 4 squares, and just started drawing. So first I drew a lipped Albertosaurus. This is just the head. Obviously based off the Safari Ltd. Albertosaurus. And this was mainly just to practice drawing lips on a dinosaur. This is probably one of my least favorite drawings I did in the month, but it was nice to actually draw lips on a dinosaur, because I'm not like sold on either one of the ideas. So I was glad to just try it out. I do think there's a good chance that most theropods were lipped, but I do think that there is some backing for the idea of no lips, so I'm kind of impartial. But I do think I will do a controversial case in the future over the subject, but right now I'm not really set on either of the ways. And second, I drew a Gryposaurus, because I just recently, at the time, had reviewed the Gryposaurus before drawing it. And since the figure is like a bluish gray, I just went a darker blue on top and couldn't really decide on a bottom half. So I just went And I was going to go like either tan or white, but I ended up just going a light blue. And this is based off that Safari LTD Gryposaurus, which at the time had just recently reviewed. An awesome figure. That figure might still be up on that website where you can get it for a really good price. And if you can, I would definitely recommend getting it. And then next I drew probably my favorite out of the 4 I did that day. And that is the Ionia Source. I just really like how this one turned out. I don't really draw a ton of ceratopsians, but I do really like drawing them. One of the dinosaurs that will be in the October video will be another ceratopsian that I've already drawn, actually. But yeah, I have some notes, actually, for this one. And yeah, I drew this figure based on the Safari LTD Ionia Source. Kind of similar color scheme. And I really like that Safari LTD Ionia Source. That is one I also picked up with that Gryposaurus. But I really like the drawing of this Ionia Source. And yeah, that color scheme is pretty similar to the Safari one. And then the last one I did on that day, which was 9/11, I drew a Kentrosaurus. And I just had one piece of blank paper and just looked through my collection and chose a dinosaur I like but haven't drawn lately. So I chose Kentrosaurus because the color scheme is very different to the Safari one. Also, I chose a kind of like defensive stance, like a predator's like right in front of it and is like about to attack. And yeah, it's kind of based off the Safari one. I went a little bit smaller on like the plates and spikes, but and the color scheme's obviously very drastically different. But the idea for the drawing was the Safari Kentrosaurus. And then on 9/21/22, I actually had a quiz and test on that next day of school. So I just did one quick drawing to like relieve some stress. And I would definitely recommend doing that if you are just having like some stress and want to just find something to relax yourself. I would recommend just drawing. It relieves some stress if you're ever stressed out. And I decided to draw Chantosaurus. And this one I drew based off the Safari figure that is getting a review pretty soon. And I went with a color scheme that's like kind of like almost like a tiger with orange stripes, and I have it with a Velociraptor in its mouth. And this is a scene like kind of similar to the prehistoric planet one, where it catches the Velociraptor, but the color scheme, like I said, is kind of similar to a tiger. And with both being Asiatic predators, I thought it made sense. And I set it in like early fall where the leaves are like just starting to turn like orange and just starting to fall. If you can see, there's a few little like orange leaves on the ground where they're just starting to fall. I thought that looked really cool. I've messed around drawing that skull so many times, and I still don't love how it turned out, but I might try Chantosaurus again pretty soon to try to rework that skull, because I do really like Chantosaurus, but I think that drawing could have been better, I will say. And then on 9/25/22, I was looking at drawings I had done this month and realized I needed to draw a sauropod, so I selected Saltasaurus because of the Carnegie Saltasaurus, because the Carnegie model in my collection. And I personally have always liked Saltasaurus because of the documentary, the Dinosaur Planet, where it was the main character in the episode. And I decided to draw it in like a swampy area with like water and stuff and just mud. And I drew it with like a basic gray color scheme. And then I added a big red dewlap like in the anole lizards, I believe. And I thought it added a nice bit of color since it's a pretty basic color scheme with just grays and blacks other than that. And it adds a nice vibrant color to it. And then I added like the black stripes on the neck and tail, which I thought looked good. And then I decided to draw one more dinosaur, this time being Dinosaurus, because this was like when PNSO had just announced their Dinosaurus, and I will say that PNSO Dinosaurus looks amazing. Definitely might be a figure I pick up. I still haven't got a PNSO figure, but I'm definitely considering getting one. And that Dinosaurus looks so good. I might have to get a PNSO figure because of that Dinosaurus. And I know this Dinosaurus is very different looking to the PNSO one, but this is the interpretation I went with. And with Dinosaurus, I have a lot of inspiration and ideas. For this one specifically, obviously there's Prehistoric Planet, which I did some similarities to it in in the water, eating I don't know, it's some aquatic vegetation is what it would be eating. And I went with a waterfowl, like a mallard duck color scheme. And also geese and ducks, obviously were a big inspiration because Dinosaurus to me is almost like just a really big duck. And there is also inspiration from the figure for this drawing, mainly the PNSO and Safari. The PNSO because, like I mentioned, it just getting announced in the Safari, since I actually kind of based it off that figure, since I actually own that figure. Here's the Safari Dinosaurus. I really love this figure as well. Really good value Dinosaurus, a really good one in general, but for the price, it's one of the best Dinosaurus out. And then for 9/30/22, I really wanted to draw a dinosaur based on a shrike. And shrikes are these birds that kill prey and impale them on thorns and just tear off pieces when they're hungry. I knew what they were before, but then somebody put a video of a shrike on something, and it just reminded me of how cool they were, and I was like, I definitely want to draw a dinosaur with some shrike inspiration. So obviously I had to do a theropod, and it made a lot of sense, and I wanted to draw an updated version of Velociraptor. So I drew the Velociraptor with a lizard in its mouth and a bush with some lizards it's already caught and impaled. No, I kind of messed up what I was saying, but I wanted to draw a theropod that made a lot of sense for the shrike color scheme. So like I said, I went with the Velociraptor, and then I drew it catching the lizards and putting some on that thorn bush. And here's the Velociraptors I kind of based it off of. So the main body scheme is based off this little mini one from the Safari Ltd Feathered Dinosaur 2, which is a really good Velociraptor. It's a really small one, but it's a really good one. And then the skull is based off this older Safari Ltd Velociraptor, which I have mistakenly called a Carnegie figure, but I don't believe it is a Carnegie figure. And if you don't know what shrike is, they are super cool birds, and I would definitely recommend learning a little bit about them. And then I drew, this was probably my least favorite drawing, it was definitely my least favorite drawing I did this month, but I did that Albertosaurus pair that I really like, my sexually dimorphic Albertosaurus pair of figures, hunting Ornithomimus. Obviously that's my updated Safari Ltd male chasing the Ornithomimus, and it's leading it to the female Albertosaurus, which is the darker blackish gray one, which is the Carnegie model. Definitely my least favorite drawing I did. They're very small though, so that's why the detail isn't as good as I would like it to be, but still, I just do not like how that drawing turned out. So here's the Safari Ltd Albertosaurus that I did. That's the one I've been saying is the sexually dimorphic male, and this is the one that I have considered the Carnegie one, which I consider the female. I really love how these two figures look together, so I thought it would be cool to draw them together, but I do wish that turned out a little better. And then the last drawing I did, I wanted to end on a cool, interesting drawing, so for this one I actually started with the background and added the dinosaur later. Normally I start with the animal and then end up drawing the environment later, but I wanted to draw a swampy Everglades looking environment, so I drew a swamp, and then I decided later what dinosaur I wanted to draw. So I looked through my figures to pick a dinosaur I could see in a swamp, and went to my theropod shelf like normal. I'm a big theropod bias, I'll just say it. And I didn't want to pick a Spinosaurid. And then I remembered the possible Ceratosaurus niche partitioning in the Morrison formation. where it would hunt fish and aquatic prey, so that way it didn't directly compete as much with like Allosaurus, Saurophaganax, and I'm gonna mess up here. It's either Torvosaurus or Torosaurus. I always get them mixed up. Whichever one's the big Morrison predator, the Megalosaurid. I can't remember which one's which. And the other's obviously the large Ceratopsian, but I always get the two mixed up. So it's one of the two. Torvosaurus, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so it wouldn't directly compete with those. So I drew it in a swamp with a fish in its mouth, if you can see, if it'll focus, which I thought was a really cool idea. And I based it off, it's very, very similar to the old Safari LTD Ceratosaurus, and the color scheme's like an exact copy. And I would love to know which one's your all's favorite. And if you have any requests for which dinosaurs you would like to see next month, I can't guarantee I'll do any that you request, but I'll definitely highly consider it, any that you request. But I'll quickly go over some of my personal favorites. Definitely not the Albertosaurus lipped. Not that. Neither of the two Albertosaurus drawn this month were probably the worst by far. Okay, we'll go with my top 5. In no particular order, my top 5 is the Ceratosaurus in the swamp, the Saltasaurus, the Shrike-looking Velociraptor, the Dinosaurus, and the Ionia Source. And now I'll quickly go over the figures, the featured figures. So first we have the old Safari LTD retired Ceratosaurus. Next we have the Safari LTD Kentrosaurus. I'm highly sure this figure is retired. It's a super good figure, and kind of surprised that they did retire it, but that's it. Then we have the Safari LTD Ionia Source. This one got retired a few years ago. You can still find it on a few places for a good price, though, so if you can find one for a decent price, I would definitely recommend getting it now, because it's an awesome figure, and I do believe it will become a pretty hard one to get in the future. Next, we have the Safari LTD Chiansusaurus. This is a figure that will be getting a review relatively soon. Next, we have the Safari LTD Gryposaurus. This one's kind of hard to get, but if you want to possibly get this one for a good deal, I would recommend going to my video, and I'll put a link to that in the description. Here is the Safari LTD Dinosaurus. A lot of Safari figures. Safari's one of, if not my favorite brand. I think every figure in this video is actually Safari based. Safari LTD Feather Dinos 2 Velociraptor. He has a few standing issues. The Safari LTD Velociraptor. Perfect fit. The Safari LTD Carnegie Collection Saltasaurus. And then the two Albertosaurus. This is the new Safari LTD Albertosaurus. And this is the Safari LTD Carnegie Collection Albertosaurus. So that's all the featured figures. All of these are great figures, and I would definitely recommend getting any of these if you would like them. They're all great figures, like I said. And yeah, I would love to know any dinosaurs you would like to see me draw, or any prehistoric animals in general. And also, I would love to know which ones were your favorite from this month of videos. So thank you all so much, and I do want to thank you all once again so much for getting us to 50 subs.